one and all as we celebrate the magic of women in cinema at our Film Coven. We're your hosts, Kelli, Mehan,
and Melissa Woody, and today we are doing a October Halloween recommendation tier list. Kelli, how are you feeling about this today?
I am excited because I like when we change it up, something else, do something different. I always like when we do that, and like, Melissa, this is a month that we very much enjoy. You are an ooky spooky girl. I love it. I am getting better with the spookiness, well, with the more horror. I'm diving a lot more into classic horror, and I've been in the last couple of years trying to do more October themed stuff. Over here, it's a little, like, it's spring, like all my jasmines are starting to bloom and it's nice, but I enjoy the fall season, like with my friends. It's something to celebrate. Melissa, how are you feeling about today's episode?
Oh, I am like so excited right now. Like, I love all these movies essentially, and yeah, I'm super excited to get into it with you.
Beautiful. So yes, we thought for this episode of Film Coven, we've picked 31 movies that if you hadn't yet picked what you're going to do for an October watch through, here's some female focused or just a couple of our favorites. There's a good chance you've maybe seen a lot of them, done a bit of a mix, some classic picks, some underrated picks. So I think there's something for everyone in here is what I'm going to say. Melissa, introduce them to the tiers, please.
Yes, let me bring them to the stage.
Category is.
So we have Classic Coven, which is kind of like Halloween staples, like ones that we always watch during kind of spooky season. We Are the Weirdos. This is my category, where maybe we get into some weird places with horror, or it's just it's gonna be outside of your realm of like movies, Kelli.
Oh, I love how pointed that is, Kelli. This ain't for you. Sit down, take a rest, check your phone.
Which kind of leads us into the next category. I'll Get You, My Pretty, which is, these are movies specifically too scary for Kelli.
Yes.
And I would say that for like people who maybe don't really like horror too. Like these movies are too scary kind of category.
The sensitive folk.
Yes. And then Witch Perfect, that's kind of our Kelli category of, it's just the right amount of spookiness. It's not too scary, but it's a good time. Maybe it's a little bit more like lighthearted type of vibe, but still gets into that spooky kind of feeling. And then lastly, I Put a Spell on You. This is kind of a category for like gateway horror, like maybe you're pretty new to horror, and these are maybe ones we would recommend trying out. If you're interested in getting into horror more, these might be a good place to start.
Or a bit more family friendly if you're wanting to introduce people to it. If you've got young'uns, like, this is a good for all.
Yes.
Good for her.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
We are not kicking off with Hocus Pocus, are we?
Yeah, I think we are. I mean,
because I said to Melissa, I'm like, I don't care what order. She's like, I just uploaded it. So wherever it lays, as we sort of said, like, this is magical, so I do feel like this is a bit of universe speaking because I'm wearing my my Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular from last year. I said I was not leaving without it.
Yes.
This is a Coven classic. This should be watched every Halloween. This is a generational staple, I think.
I completely agree. I do watch this every year. Jeff and we actually get quite a few trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood, which is really fun, and we'll put it on while people are kind of trick-or-treating, because it's one I've seen so many times for both of us, and so it's one I can kind of have in the background and then just kind of jump in here and there as we're kind of like in between trick-or-treaters. But I can also just obviously sit down and watch it too, but that's kind of what our tradition is of watching it. And also, I mean, we did a episode on your podcast doing Disney. Check it out if you haven't already. It's a great time.
May I correct you?
Yes.
The highest rated and most viewed episode on Doing Disney when I checked the stats the other day. I'm like, how's that cooking? And it was like triple everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Because as we're sort of saying, it is that sort of classic Halloween staple. I know that it gets a bit of flack nowadays. I know there's a bit of a generational divide, but at least for hardcore Disney fans, what I've seen when I went to the parks, It's having a big renaissance, especially after Hocus Pocus 2 and the new artwork. Every Halloween, they're releasing more and more merch with the Sanderson sisters. And I couldn't tell you that growing up in the 90s and watching this all the time, that this was going to still be around 21 plus years later and still be producing new stuff. Like, so I think it deserves its status as a cult movie. We watched it on the big screen when we were in the US, like for the 30th anniversary. It's awesome.
We're definitely putting this as our first in Coven Classic.
Beautiful. Melissa, this is one that you saw before I saw it. And you're like, Kelly, I know you're going to like it. Tell us about whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Yeah, this is an all-time classic horror. And I would say, like, generally speaking, when it comes to classic horror, it tends to be more in the, like, psychological realm of things for the most part. And yeah, this is definitely a psychological horror, a child star that can't really let that go, and the relationship with her sister. And yeah, just the dynamic of Bette Davis and Joan Crawford is just, it's top notch. So many iconic scenes, iconic quotes. Like, I absolutely adore this movie.
So I watched it for the first time last year, and it is one of those ones where I've seen parodied to death. And before I'd even seen the movie, I'd watched the Feud miniseries, and I've seen a lot of Drag Race, so I've seen so my Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is Alaska doing Bette Davis in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and her reflections. When I finally watched it, I did really enjoy it. It is much more in the psychological realm, which is where I tend to prefer. I think this was part of the Home Invasion series of Evolution of Horror, so it's more that trapped in a house, and that always gives me the heebie-jeebies as someone that's had mental illness throughout the life, like, and that feels like a bit of a reality and it's a bit scary. I wouldn't put it in Coven Classic because I don't think it's a Halloween staple, if that makes sense. Yeah. I put it in Witch Perfect because I think it's just enough spooky. It's going to like supplement your Halloween viewing, but it is a camp classic.
Yes, yeah, I was thinking either Witch Perfect or I Put a Spell on You, but I think Witch Perfect makes sense, especially with all the Drag Race references. So I'm happy with that.
So this is when I came to it. I hadn't watched it when it released, so it was on my watch list for a long time. I came to the film festival, and he finished the film festival with this. And I think that is such a great one because a woman running around in a wedding dress and Converse, yes, that is, I loved it. Adam Brody, I am an OC girly. Yes, I was so happy. Kicks ass in this movie. Like, she is so good. I like anything that's of a cult family sort of deal, very Get Out vibes, very we know something you don't, like Welcome to Our Family, but it's a bit tainted. I like any of that sort of vibe. So I would put this somewhere around Witch Perfect, or even I Put a Spell on You. I think it's good gateway because it's funny. It has funny moments in it. So it's just enough spooks, but just enough breather. What did you think of Ready or Not?
Yeah, this one was like a great surprise. It was getting good buzz and I watched it, and yeah, this movie's just fun. Like, I wasn't sure how it would play on a rewatch, and I think I've now seen it 2 or 3 times, and it does play well on a rewatch. It's a good time. Like, I think it has good comedic beats, and then like the kills and stuff are kind of fun, and it's just enough gore. It's not like too intense, I feel. So I would say I would put this under I Put a Spell on You because I think it's a good like gateway horror style movie. This is all you
so
guys.
we were putting together this list. I said I put all my ones in, and Buffy, and Melissa I put a little question mark, and Melissa said I haven't seen it. I messaged her straight away. I said it and said, well, you need to fix that. we need to change that. Melissa, you said, Kelly, I'm saving my thoughts for Buffy because I messaged you and I said, this is a camp feminist masterpiece and I'm alone on an island in that feeling. Are you on my island, Melissa? You're bringing a life raft to my island.
I am, yes. I did love it. I think it's interesting. I don't know why, but camp specific films, I feel like just don't always like hit a wide audience. It tends to be a little bit more niche it kind of ends up being like these cult classics. And yeah, this movie's exactly that for me. Yeah, I watched it actually today, and it's really hard to not compare it to the TV show. And I tried so hard to not do that. I found myself doing it a few times, but I think the best way to view this movie is try your best not to, because I feel like they're just too just
It doesn't
different
feel like it has anything to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just two very different interpretations of this Buffy character. Christy Swanson as Buffy, I really liked her performance. I thought like she really brought this like Valley Girl edge to the character, and she also like, not to be like superficial, but like she has like an athletic build, and like I really liked the scenes where she was kicking ass because it felt really believable. Like she's a gymnast, she's a cheerleader, and like she looked strong and like badass, and I loved those scenes, even though it seemed sometimes like out of place or whatever. But like it worked so well. If I would best describe this movie as like Clueless mixed with like a campy vampire movie, like in one.
Yes. I think those aspects of the character really work really well. As you sort of said, like the Valley Girl, I think it's a bit more believable because Sarah Michelle Gellar's Buffy is smart and streetwise and is a great character. I do really like the TV series, but I do think that it's two different takes. It's almost like, weird analogy, but like 101 Dalmatians. Like you've got Emma Stone Cruella, then you've got like Glenn Close. Like everyone's doing it like a little bit differently, but still keeping the authenticity of what the core of the character is. And the humor in this, I think, is so funny.
Yes.
But I think it's more true to the core concept of what if a ditzy cheerleader had the superpowers. I think it nails that.
Yes, completely agree. So now, in regards to what category, I would probably think Witch Perfect, but I guess I could see it being I Put a Spell on You too, because it's pretty more on the comedic side. But I think you're going to have a good time if you watch it. It's definitely like a spooky style movie.
I'm thinking probably I Put a Spell on You. I think it is good gateway stuff. I don't think it needs to be a Halloween classic. It's just like a all-around good movie. I don't need to watch this in the Halloween season to enjoy it.
Sure.
Or it doesn't enhance my enjoyment. Whereas watching Hocus Pocus at Halloween.
Agreed. Totally agree. Okay, yeah, let's put I Put a Spell on You.
Okay, bring it on, Melissa. Bride of Frankenstein. How did you first come to it? Because I think it's one of those ones everyone has seen the imagery of it before they actually watch it. So how did you first watch it?
Yeah, exactly. Like we've talked about on the show a few different times, like it kind of feels like the Bride of Frankenstein has always been with me, just because like I've seen the imagery, or like I've seen people cosplay as it, or like a reference in a TV show, like that type of thing. But yeah, I actually didn't see it until a few years ago for the first time. The OG like monster movies, most of them were a blind side of mine only just 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, I watched it roughly around that time period, and yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I think it takes a lot of that foundation from the original Frankenstein movie and builds upon that. I will say my one criticism is I wish she was in it more.
Yes.
That is like, it's a 4.5 star movie for me for that reason, which is so silly because I really do find it to be just like a horror classic and like a great classic film in general too. But God, I wish she was in it just a little bit more, because when she is, it's just like yes. And I mean, the aesthetic of like the costume and the hair, it's everything. What about you, Kelli?
It is everything. Yeah, I'm the same. I didn't come to it until a few years ago. It's very much the same deal. Trying to plug the Universal Monster movies gap. They're very big in our household. I like it. I just hadn't seen them. So we watched Frankenstein first, and then we watched Bride of Frankenstein the next day. And it is one of those classic sequels I think is a bit better than the original. I do remember enjoying it a lot more. I agree. For a movie called The Bride of Frankenstein, she's not in it as much. I did think we would see her a bit more.
Yeah.
And when she is on screen, it's like that, like everything is really, we throw it around liberally, but that is an iconic movie monster and movie shot and the scream and the lightning bolt hair.
Yes.
But I loved the beginning. The Mary Shelley telling the story part.
Yes.
Oh, that took me out. Like I was in so hard at that opening scene. And so then everything after that was just fantastic. But yeah, I think The Bride is the first female iconic horror movie character, and she deserves to be a Coven classic. This is another one that is enhanced at Halloween viewing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I am on the same page with a Coven classic. So let's put it there. All right.
Oh, this is one that was on both of our shortlists. Melissa, tell us about The Innocents.
Yeah, this movie is gorgeous. Like for me, the biggest highlight is the cinematography. Like, oh my gosh, like the black and white cinematography, very gothic feeling, just really, really like is the highlight of this movie. Just like the way that they use the shadows and light is just like expertly crafted. But I think Deborah Kerr is amazing in this leading role. And I think she's just a very underrated actress, in my opinion, because I feel like everything I've seen her in always does a great job. But I don't feel like people talk about her nearly enough compared to like other classic film actresses. But yeah, no, this movie very much has the style and the substance, and that's why it is for me like a perfect spooky movie. In regards to like what category I'd put this in, I don't know, there's like a part of me is like I could see it as a Coven classic because I just love this movie and I think it's like really one to watch during like spooky time. I think it is like elevated a bit more during the Halloween season, but I would say maybe I put a spell on you because this really could be enjoyed by anyone. Like, I think this is like a classic film that's not too scary by any means, but I feel like it has just a great atmosphere that's like established.
This is one I watched for the first time last year. I've known of the turning of the screws, so I was a little bit aware of where the story was going to go, but it's a classic ghost story. It's one I watched, weirdly enough, very viscerally. It was 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon and there was just enough light coming through the window, so it was bright as, and I was still scared shitless. Like, I was still, scared isn't the right word, I was on the edge of my seat. And you're right, it's the cinematography and it's the pacing. It's got amazing pacing. And those kids are creepy. Like, and you just don't know what's going on fully, even though you sort of know where it might go. And then, it's atmospheric.
Yes.
It's a very atmospheric movie. I would say somewhere either Witch Perfect or Coven Classic. I wouldn't say I put a spell on you because classics aren't always the most accessible to everyone. And as I sort of said, I don't know if it's the one that you would be able to sit there and not be a little bit bored if you're new to the genre or not taking it in. I could see that being a bit old-timey. Why am I sitting here watching this? So I'd say Coven Classic or Witch Perfect. I will let you make the choice.
I'm going to do Coven Classic because I feel like we both were pretty passionate about it. So let's do it.
I think that's a great Halloween movie.
Yes. Okay. Mina. I'm just going to read my Letterboxd review real quick.
Please.
I think it just really captures this movie. The score and music go so hard through this nonsensical plot as Jennifer Connelly, who has telepathic powers with insects, teams up with Donald Pleasance and a chimp to track down a killer that is murdering young girls around a boarding school in Switzerland. Enjoy.
Colour me intrigued, my love. Like, that is interesting.
So this movie is, directed by Dario Argento, which he's kind of known for Suspiria. So this is in the giallo subgenre, which it's like an Italian horror style where it's kind of like a thriller whodunit style movie, but also has like these horror elements. And I watched this a few years ago and it was a good ass time. I think this is probably where we are the weird.
Yes. Donald Pleasance and a chimp.
Yes.
And it just happens to be in Switzerland. Yes, put it in We're the Weirdos, but is this a Kelly movie? Could it be? Is it horror? Is it gore?
Yeah, so my only concern is the gore. It's been a few years, so I can't remember how gory it gets, but I don't know, for me, like giallo style horror movies, I find the kills and the gore funny and like kind of fantastical. So I don't feel like it's that bad, but I'm trying to think of it from a perspective of like not enjoying it like I do. I might need to revisit and get back to you, but like I think it could be because this is just pure camp and it's a great time.
Then I'm in. Pop it in We Are the Weirdos. We are the weirdos, mister.
Yes.
Now, Melissa, this is one I have not seen, but is high on my to-watch thing, but I do need you to tell me, like, on a spooky level, like, is it too much? So we're going to talk about The Witch. I need your opinion on it. I do want to watch it because I've heard nothing but amazing things.
In a way, I would almost feel like it's kind of similar to The Innocents in this sense that it's a very atmospheric movie. The cinematography is just gorgeous. Robert Eggers, one of the best directors living today, in my opinion, and like the way that he does his movies, he does so much research to make it so grounded and like realistic what story he's telling. And yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is just amazing. And she's so young here too. And it's like this Puritan family and, some witch things happen. I don't think it's terribly scary, but at the same time, it is maybe more that psychological aspect of it. And again, out of everything we've done so far, I would probably compare it closest to The Innocents from that perspective. I don't know if I would say it's a beginner horror movie per se, but I think maybe Witch Perfect, which maybe it also fits the title.
I think that's the absolute best place to put it. So every time I see someone write it as like the Vivid, I was like, the Vitch.
Yeah,
the Vitch. This is another one that's very high on my to watch list. And aesthetically, this looks like a Kelli movie. Yes. But I don't want to get burned and go in thinking I'm getting one thing and get served something else, because I'm worried that might happen. So please tell us about The Love Witch.
Yeah, I don't know if this will be a Kelli movie or not, to be honest.
Fantastic.
I can't tell. Like, I feel like it's either going to go one way or the other. Nowhere in between. But no, this movie, I absolutely adore. It's definitely style over substance, I would say. Like, it's very much focused on the aesthetic of it all, and my god, do they nail it. Like, the way that they capture her eyes throughout the movie is just like, it very much reminded me of Morticia. They nail it so well with like all the aesthetics of it all. But it's just such a vibey movie too, with like, she's just this girl that's like a love witch, and like, it's a good time. Like, it's also very campy with like the story and like the way that they delivered the dialogue. It's also very confusing what time period we're in, but I kind of love that. Like, it seems like we're in a modern world because there's like cell phones, but it very much gives you like a 60s aesthetic.
I get the 60s-ness of it all. That's what really intrigues me. Melissa, what category are you putting it into?
I'd probably say Witch Perfect, not to be on the nose with
both
witch movies, because I don't think it's scary per se by any means, but it's just such a vibe. And I don't know if I would really put a spell on you, because it's maybe a little bit more on the art house spectrum, I would say, maybe. Like, I don't think a typical moviegoer is gonna like maybe really enjoy this. So I would say Witch Perfect.
Okay, next up is a movie that all I've ever read about is how traumatizing it is. So I already know this is going, and I'll get you my pretty.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those movies where I hope, if you're out there watching this, that it hasn't been spoiled for you. So I don't really want to say too much, but like, the majority of the movie is a pretty grounded drama. It's pretty gruesome with the gore. So yeah, I would say it's gonna be I'll Get You My Pretty. It's definitely too scary, I would say, for Kelli.
It's a Kelly's never gonna watch that.
Yeah,
but it looks cool. It looks great. Like, and I've heard amazing things.
I think I don't know. I kind of feel like, okay.
Shut it down.
I'm like, cover your eyes at the end, and then I think you'll like it.
Nah.
Yeah, next up we have Hush. So actually, it's kind of been making waves recently because it finally is getting a physical media release. So it's been in Netflix prison for the past few years, where like it was removed off Netflix and you couldn't find it anywhere. You couldn't buy it, you couldn't stream it. It's been like gone. And it's been very upsetting for me specifically. And
I took that personally. Yes.
But yeah, now you can buy it on physical media, I believe, either now or in the next few weeks. I can't remember the exact release date, but like it's out very soon or it's out now. But this is a very underrated home invasion movie. It's scary. Like, I don't usually get scared. This one scared me because it's so grounded in reality. It's this woman who's writing this novel, and she's deaf, and this guy is getting into her house, and as an audience member, it's like so much tension because she can't hear the different things that he's doing, and just like an audience member, you're just like, like, he's there, like, hide. So it's a lot of tension and like suspense. I thought it was really, really, really well done. I highly recommend it. I would say it's probably under I'll Get You My Pretty, because it's so grounded in reality, because this could really happen to anyone.
That's really scary.
Yeah, not a Kelli movie.
Not a Kelli movie. Kelli would not sleep for a week after that one.
So this movie, the First Omen. I think I even was telling you about it, Kelly, because I was like, Alan needs to watch this.
Yes.
So this is a prequel to The Omen, and it was the best surprise of this year so far. Incredible. I don't understand why it was this good. Like truly. The lead, Nell Tiger Free, which awesome name. She is incredible. Such a layered performance. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what comes from this director as well. Her name, hopefully I'm not butchering it too much, Arkasha Stevenson. Amazing. Love it. Yeah, female directed horror from 2024. Highly recommend if you have not seen, because it was the best surprise to horror this year, because sequels, prequels, reboots are just so tired. And like this was so refreshing. I would say it's probably under I'll Get You My Pretty, because it was pretty scary.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the Omens. That's definitely not my bag for horror, but I reckon it would be I'll Get You My Pretty. But did you want to talk about the scene you messaged me about and about how female focused, or are you trying to not spoil it?
I don't want to spoil it, but I will just say there is one scene in this movie where, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in theaters, which I really wish I was able to. But I literally stood up and clapped in my living room by myself, because it was just like, yes. Let's just say something that is shown that's usually not shown in movies is shown in this movie, and chef's kiss. Yes.
Not the term I would use to describe the scene the way you told me about it, but go for it.
This is another 2024 horror from this year, Longlegs. It has Micah Monroe as our lead, and she is just incredible. Again, another great surprise from this year. The way that this movie is stylized is just incredible. And then we get Nick Cage, which, yes, please. I would say inspired of Silence of the Lambs. I would say that's kind of the base. Is kind of that style of story. I can't recommend it enough if you haven't seen it. I would say for this, I feel like the way that it's stylized, I almost would say this is We Are the Weirdos, because I don't feel like it's terribly scary. It does have this kind of campiness to it at times. So I would probably say We Are the Weirdos is the category.
Pop it in. Melissa, this is another, like, there's been some real good horror movies from the 2010s onwards, it seems. Is this 2021-ish? Was this a pandemic movie?
Yeah, 2021.
Because we seem to be getting a lot of new female faces, and female-focused stories in horror recently seem to be a big push for that. So we are living in a Melissa Glory era, I think. Tell us about Malignant.
Yeah, this movie has been very divisive, I would say. You either love it or you hate it. I'm definitely in the camp that I absolutely love it. I would say if you, again, like a campy time, this is your movie. Because that third act, I hope it's not ruined for anyone out there who hasn't seen it, because that third act, when the first time I watched it, my jaw was on the floor laughing so hard.
Laughing?
Yes. I do think this could be a Kelli movie, honestly, just because of the camp factor. And also, they use Where's My Mind by the Pixies, but in like this very like creepy kind of way as like the score. And it's amazing.
Okay. I'm interested. You're selling me.
I would say for this one, it's probably We Are the Weirdos, just because of that third act. It's just it's too out there. I have more things to say, but I don't want to spoil it.
Fair enough. And that's the thing with horror. Like, a lot of it is you need to go in as blind as much as possible if you can, because that's where a lot of the horror tends to come from. But watch me watch this and message you and go, I hate you for this. Probably.
It's very possible.
It's a possibility.
It's very possible. Haxan, have you seen this?
Haxan, I want to so badly.
Okay.
It is definitely on my to-watch list, highly. So it looks... I like anything in that classics when it's real experimental, it's just getting a little bit weird, very Metropolis really, I vibed with a lot. So if it's anything like that expressionism early cinema, I want to give it a go at least.
Yes, that's exactly what this is. This was from 1922, which is amazing. So this movie's over 100 years old, and it is just so badass. Kelly, I can't tell you how inspired I was, like, creatively after watching
Yes!
this. Like, it's just the way that they use the camera and just the drawings and, like, just, I don't know, just all the different aspects of this movie are just so cool and, like, crafted really well. It's kind of this, like, hybrid of, like, a documentary, but it's also kind of, like, this fiction storyline of, like, this witch. And the actress that plays this witch character, like, I just believe that she's a witch. Like, it's so, like, grounded in, like, reality. It feels like, kind of, because it's this documentary style kind of movie, I'm just like, she's a witch. I'm convinced.
Mel, can you tell us why this has such strong feminism tones to it? Like, what is in the movie that is drawing that out? Because I've seen that critique a lot.
It's kind of this, like, history of witchcraft through the ages, at least up to this time period. And so with the history of witches, it's very female focused. So I think that's kind of where it gets that perspective or edge. But yeah, I've only seen it the once, but I would gladly watch this again. I know that silent films aren't for, like, everyone, because it does require a certain amount of, like, patience and concentration, but I think this one is interesting enough because, like you were saying, like, the expressionism of it all and, like, just the way that they craft the movie, it feels so ahead of its time. Like, it feels like it could have come out just, like, a few years ago, honestly. Like, it's so cool.
Is this a Witch Perfect? Is this just, like, a real good example of a horror genre? Yeah. Throw it in.
Yes. It feels funny that, like, 3 of the witch movies are in this category, but I love it.
Every category is a witch category, though. Come on. This is all you, babe. Yeah. What is under the skin? I see Scarlett Johansson, brunette Scarlett Johansson, which I'm not feeling, but please tell me about the movie.
Yeah, so this movie I watched for the first time a few years ago, and I went into it pretty blindly. Like, I really didn't know much about it at all. I just knew it was an A24 movie, and I'm an A24 fan. Like, if that production company releases something, I'm like, oh, I'm seated, I'm there. The way that it's filmed, I had the minute I was done with the movie, I had to Google like how is this filmed? Because the director actually put cameras in this car of Scarlett Johansson in Scotland, and, like, we're really just filming random people, and then, like, afterwards was like, hey, we're filming a movie, can you sign this, like,
release form? Yeah
because, like, I was just like, how is this happening right now? Because it felt so realistic the way that the filming was, and I was just like, how are they doing this? And, like, yeah, he, like, straight up actually, like, had these, like, hidden cameras and kind of just was like, hey, like, we're filming a movie. So, like, it was really cool from, like, that perspective, from, like, a filmmaking perspective. But Scarlett Johansson, this might be her best role besides maybe Her, which that's even just, like, a voice of Scarlett Johansson, but, like, she is so good. And it's another one where I don't want to spoil it, and I hope, like, if you're watching this that it hasn't been spoiled, because I didn't know, like, the twist, and it made it that much better. And it's frustrating because I'm pretty sure the plot synopsis, like, has it, and I'm like, why is it shouldn't be there? Like, just go into this movie blind. I can't recommend it enough. It's very weird and creepy. There's a sci-fi element to it, but yeah, the filmmaking was just out of this world, like, cool, because I'm just like, what? With these hidden cameras?
Did you intend to make a out of this world space pun just then, or was that unintentional?
And unintended.
I love it. Pop it in, We Are the Weirdos.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Somewhere in there. In Australia, at our art house cinema, they gave away passes that said, I survived the movie Raw, or, like, congratulations, you watched Raw, because it was just sort of one of the marketing tactics that it was quite, it's visceral, but we're talking body horror, so that's what it is. This is not a Kelly movie at all, but is it scary, Melissa, or is it just gory?
It is gory. Like, this, do not eat before this movie. You will feel sick. I have never felt so sick watching a movie, but, like, for me, I love that. If I'm getting that much of a visceral reaction from a movie, that's like bonus points for me. Because it's like, you are doing exactly what you're trying to do, Julia, and I see you. Like, But yeah, this movie is very much like a coming of age story.
Yeah, it's college based or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a coming of age, like in college, and it's very much maybe, I don't know, talking about some like intergenerational trauma style stuff, and like the relationship between her and her sister, the lead, I think is really well done, and yeah, it kind of uses this metaphor of cannibalism kind of for all that, but yeah, this movie is gross. It is really gross, but I love it. I would say, I don't know, I'm in between either We're the Weirdos or I'll Get You My Pretty, because like I could see people being like scared by it or just like sick by it.
Yeah, that stomach turning sort of,
But considering that I love how sick it makes me, I feel like it's We're the Weirdos.
Take it, put it in your house.
Yeah, this is tracking. Okay.
This makes sense.
Have you seen Pearl?
No, this is another Melissa movie. But I will absolutely give you the rein to put this wherever you think it's going to land. Because I think you can make a good case for a lot of these categories.
Yeah, Pearl. I did Pearl for Halloween. I absolutely adore this movie. Mia Goth is a star. Reference from the movie.
I get that reference.
Thank you. This is like a Technicolor nightmare. It's gorgeous, but it's also gross.
I get the giggles. The words are taking me out. I love it.
I'm glad, because I feel like my words are like not coming out well tonight.
A Technicolor nightmare.
A part of me's like, it's a Coven classic in the sense of like... Pearl
it does feel like a new Halloween classic, it does.
Because Pearl's just such an icon for me. But, because like, I would definitely not put it as, I put a spell on you, absolutely not. I would say maybe Witch Perfect, honestly, because it's not terribly scary. You know, there's just some gory scenes, but it's very much more of a character study of Pearl. Yeah, so I would say...
let me interrupt.
Yeah,
do you
please.
think it's enhanced by watching it at Halloween time, or is this an all-the-year movie?
This is all year movie, so maybe Witch
Perfect it is. Pop it in there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have we seen it? I hope so.
We have seen it. This is a Coven classic. There's no ifs, buts, anything about it. It's a great Halloween movie. It is a pop culture staple. You've heard a reference to this, even if you don't really directly know that it's directly from that. If you've heard anything like Tannis Root, or if you've heard quotes in the wild. But yeah, I think everyone sort of knows this twist before going in. And it just a little bit enhances it. Mel, like, fertility and motherhood stuff really creeps me out now. Now that I'm, like, of that age, it hits worse than I reckon if I had have seen it in my teens as the first time, because you're just really sort of being able to put yourself in those shoes and tap into that all. And when she's wasting away, say what you want to say, and then I'll end off with a funny note on it. So you keep being serious about it and how you feel about it, and then throw it back to me, because I've got a reference just for you, my love.
Okay, I can't wait. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby is an all-timer for me. This is one I grew up with. Like, I saw this when I was a teen, and I loved it then, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, because I'm in this time of my life where being a mother is more of a reality, there's something just so unsettling about it, and I truly think this is like one of the scariest movies of all time. I actually genuinely find it scary, and yeah, the performance of Mia Farrow is just amazing. Like you're saying, when she is just kind of starting to wither away, like just the way that they were able to do her makeup and everything. Yeah, it's so good. And then, of course, the iconic Ruth Gordon. Absolutely adore her. Yeah, I would say I agree. Like, I think this is a Coven classic. And, like, that score, it's more like the la 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 la. Oh, that's so creepy.
I definitely found it unsettling when I watched it. I've only seen it the once, but it's one of those ones that gave me the heebie-jeebies for the rest of the night and didn't sleep well. So, yeah, this is a Coven classic. And when I finally did get to watch it, all I had was Tyra Banks' voice in my head with the Mia Farrow haircut and what she did to that girl in season 5 of America's Next Top Model when that girl would not cut her hair anymore because she wanted the Mia Farrow haircut from Rosemary's Baby.
Thank you. I was not expecting an America's Next Top Model reference.
That's what I'm here for. One of the other big hits for you this year, and is only just released in Australia. It's at our cinemas at the moment, so it has not been watched in our household. I know nothing about this. Tell us about I Saw the TV Glow.
I Saw the TV Glow, I think, is the best movie of the year. Do I think it's do I think it's perfect? No. I am very keen to rewatch it because I felt like I was fairly critical on my first watch, but I still felt that after I watched. I was like, I think this is the best film of the year. The ambition behind this is just out of this world incredible. I have nothing but great things to say, even though I'm critical about a few things with the movie. Just overall, though, this is the movie that has stayed with me the most this year by far. I think Jane Schoenbrunn, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, I'm like very excited to see like what Jane does next. This movie's beautiful, and sorry to go on about it, but it just like,
I love it.
It's very psychological horror, and it's very personal. Telling the story is very much a trans allegory. So masterfully well done. I think it really taps into like that specific experience, but also like it's very universal with a lot of the things that is discussed through the movie as well. Also, if you're like a millennial, this is such a good movie because of the references. My God. Like, there's so many references of, like, 90s kid TV shows and, like, just that time of life. And, like, I was, like, so excited by some of the references that were, like, in the movie. Able to establish this, like, fake TV show called The Pinko Peg. Like, chef's kiss. I want a full season of this, like, fake TV show within the movie.
You are selling me so hard. Where are you going to put it in this ranking?
I will say it's very art house in, in its approach and like stylization. So I kind of feel like I want to put it in We Are the Weirdos because I don't think this is a very accessible movie, unfortunately. Okay. But if you're a movie lover or any of the things I mentioned, like I can't recommend it enough. So I feel like that's probably the best place for it, I think, because I don't know if it really fits any of the other categories. My Letterboxd review on that one, very long. Anyways.
An essay.
It is.
I don't want to say it, but Australian horror, we do it right.
I was not expecting that. I love it.
What, am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct. But it goes there, as they say in Degrassi.
The Babadook and Degrassi, not the crossover I was thinking today. This movie, I do love that it took on a life of its own with the Babadook becoming an LGBTQIA plus icon. I love that. That's sort of what I saw first before seeing the movie. When I watched the movie, I was not expecting this tale of grief and how grief manifests itself. I don't think I'd be able to watch it nowadays. I think it would be too much. But in our house, whenever the cat is screaming for food and it's that, ah! This is what it reminds me of, is that kid screaming in the backseat and she just goes, why are you so weird? This movie is not scary, but effective. I'd put it that way. It's horror in the sense of causing that internal reflection and inner dread sort of come out. And I love that when we're making a new horror icon, a new movie monster, and it really becomes broad. I
adore this movie. I actually recently rewatched it. I want to say it was last year. I was a little nervous to rewatch it because I did struggle with the kid and the third act. But on a rewatch, I actually really enjoyed all of it, and I wasn't annoyed by either. But on initial viewing, I definitely was. Yeah, no, I think the atmosphere that's established in this one is really great. It's a lot of... It very much gives me the Exorcist vibes in the way that it's filmed. Like, it feels like it was filmed in the 70s, but at the same time, it feels very modern, and you don't really know what time it is. Like, I think everyone's clothing is pretty, like, kind of generic. So
Generic.
It kind of makes it feel...
That could be fit at any time. I understand the meaning you're trying to go for. Yeah.
Thank you, but it's not coming out.
We don't have the correct word for right now, but that's okay. I know the intention.
Yes. I actually do find it kind of scary. Not, like, terrifying by any means, but I think there's definitely, like, a dread. I think that was a good word that you used. I would agree. But yeah, I would say in regards to, like, what category to put it under.
I think it's this could be a controversial take, but I think it is I Put a Spell on You. I think it's a well-known movie. I think if you're trying to get into horror, if you've got lilies, it's just enough.
Yeah.
It's just enough.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah. I'm cool with that. Let's do it.
Cool. Pop it in. And like I said, it is one of those new movie monster icons, so I think you should be able to watch it.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about it, but the aesthetic of the Babadook, it's so...
Yes, and the storybook and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That was the best part for me. Like, anytime that was happening, so good.
Yeah. Just like that tangible book and just, the
I definitely went to bed that night and was like, could not stop looking at the ceiling because I thought the Babadook was coming for me. So that's how you know it's successful. It wasn't like, I'll get you my pretty, where like it's too scary for me.
Exactly.
Just enough.
Yes, just enough.
Okay. Melissa. I am new. Here we go. Hair back. Straighten up. I am new to the Elvira Love Fest. But I am all the way in. Oh my goodness gracious. I just watched this for the first time after seeing, again, this is another one of the character of Elvira. I watched a lot of Drag Race and Cassandra Peterson's on there a lot and on Dragula. And so like, how's your head? Haven't had any complaints. It's great. It's that double entendre humor I love. But the character she's crafted of this valley girl who knows her shit. That's the best part. I love a smart, dumb character, and she's one of the epitomes of it. And oh my goodness, just the fact that I wrote, this is a camp feminist masterpiece. I'm so sure of it because in this movie, it's like, yes, it's a lot about the boobs, but tell them it wasn't just a good set of boobs. It's a great set of legs. And when you think of two simple words, it doesn't matter which they are as long as they're simple. It's so funny. It's very Rocky Horror-esque in that it's a love letter to B movies, and I'm always going to enjoy that. But it's just authentic, and that's what I loved about it. It doesn't feel put on. It just feels this is the character, this is the movie I want to make. It's going to be cheesy because that's what I love. That's what I do. I'm a horror host, and I watch these B-list sci-fi horror movies, and that's what I want to do. So when lightning started coming out the ring, I'm like, great. Like, it's meant to be that, and just... the character of Elvira is so charming. She is charisma personified. I watched an interview with Joan Rivers and she's like, do men even like look at your face? Like, what's the point of putting on makeup? But she uses it. She weaponizes it and is in control of it. And I loved it from start to finish. I'm ready to watch it again already. It's one of those ones where, like, as soon as it finished, I'm like, I could watch that again this second and enjoy myself. I thought, okay, go with me here.
Okay.
It reminded me of Sister Act.
Go on.
In the sense of a fish out of water coming into a town.
Sure, okay.
Getting the people on your side and being true to yourself and coming into like that whole coming into the town sort of way. Because it was very that of like, we don't like, it's very the Christian evangelical sort of, we don't understand you and we don't want you here, but then she loves the kids, like they're on board with her, and to come in and it was Footloose Sister Act with a horror twist. I've gone on long enough. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Elvira and specifically Mistress of the Dark movie?
Kelly, I'm so glad you watched this because it's one of those where in my mind I'm like, this is a Kelly movie, like through and through.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is exactly what I think of when I think of like a spooky movie that Kelli would like this is like top of the list, so I'm so glad that you finally watched it and you loved it. It very much gives me like same universe of Pee-wee Herman personally. Like that's the vibe I get, because it's very similar stories, honestly, in a way. She's a legend. Like, she can't do anything wrong in my eyes. Like,
please put in, she's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
Yes.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
Yeah, in regards to what category, I mean...
It's a Coven classic. It's Halloween. It's like Hocus Pocus.
Yes, okay. Love that.
I definitely, yes, you can watch it all year round, but it makes sense to watch it at this time, and I'm going to watch it again in October.
Yes, I want to. I've only seen it the once, and I adored it, and just anytime she pops up anywhere, either it's Drag Race or whatever, like, I'm excited to see Elvira.
The best one was when she's in the car and the cop pulls her over and is like, do you know how fast you were going? No, but if you hum a few bars, I'll be able to pick it up. It's those sorts of ones where it's so quick that I don't even realize she's saying something fast and witty until like you have a second later. I loved it.
Yes, I see you quoting this until the rest of the year at least, or forever.
That's the thing. On one hand, I wish I had seen this when I was a teenager, because this, like, in my emo prime, she would have been my icon. But at the same time, I think I'm at a better place to receive it now, because I'm a bit... Elvira's not for insecure people, let me put it that way, because you need to be really on board with what she's doing, because when she's got her big double D's on screen washing the car, I'm like, yes, bitch, go. But if you are not okay with that, I think that's the barrier to the character, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I am all for her washing her car.
Love it. Squeaky boobies.
Next up, we have Black Christmas. There's been a lot of iterations of this, but I want to talk about the 1974 version of this. Fun fact, the same director did A Christmas Story.
Okay. See, that's not an Australian classic in my opinion. Like, we don't do that as much.
I just think it's funny that it's like these two Christmas movies.
Oh, okay.
Like, and like just so different. Like, one's like a family, like very much an American classic, and then like this horror movie, but just set during Christmas time. This movie is scary. Like, I think the way that it's filmed, so it's in the POV of the killer a lot of the times, and you never know who the killer is. You never find out. And I find that so unsettling. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but like...
No, it's from the 70s, babe, you're good. Yeah. But that's a different take on it. I've not heard much about it, but that is really freaky to not know. It leaves you hanging. It leaves you the anticipation.
And yeah, this unknown killer is invading this sorority house, and it stars Olivia Hussey, which I know her from the Romeo and Juliet back in the day, I think in the 60s. I had to watch it at school, and she's gorgeous. That's like the only other thing I've ever seen her in, but she's great in this movie as the lead. And there's also some storylines about like abortion and pregnancy that I love, and that like was very unexpected the first time I watched it. I was like, oh, we're tackling some topics here, and I love to see it.
It goes there.
It goes there, exactly. Yeah, this movie, I think it's scary. I think it's one you could watch any time of year personally, and it is one that you could watch during Halloween or during Christmas or during in between, whatever. But
is it I'll Get You, My Pretty? It's too scary for Kelli?
Yeah, it's pretty scary, so I'd put it there. Also, Margaret Kidder's in it as well, and she's fantastic.
I sent you a voice memo, said Melissa. We don't have practical magic on our slideshow, and we need to fix that, because this might be the movie I've seen. Oh, Hocus Pocus. Oh, it's either between this or Hocus Pocus for the one I've seen the most. I reckon I've been watching this consistently since the 90s and it came out. This was a great sleepover movie. Okay, I'm going to call it now, put it in, and I put a spell on you.
Okay.
Because I think it is better at Halloween, but it's one I can watch all year round, and I think it's good gateway horror Halloween movie. Anything with a witchy vibe, I'm in. That tends to be the horror subgenre I'll go for the most, either witches or vampires. This is one that did not know was so girl power focused when I was a kid. It's only on reflection I'm like, actually that's really cool that it was about these sisters who moved in with their aunts. And Stockard Channing, you know I give it up for her. So when they're dancing around to you put the lime in the coconut and making cocktails at 12 in the morning, like, I love it. It's those sorts of scenes that are great. Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, like, in their prime, peak late 90s. This is a good time, but it definitely did scare me as a kid. It's a good, The Craft as well.
Yeah.
Where it's that sleepover movie of just light enough and then a few really spooky, scary things. So instead of watching The Craft, I reckon I saw this one more. But even now when I hear Always on My Mind, I can't with that song. That song is tainted for me from this movie. Like, that whole guy with the white eyes singing that one, and then the exorcism at the end. But yes, that's enough from me. Melissa, what did you think about Practical Magic?
So this one was very similar to Buffy, where Kelli, you messaged me and said, you haven't seen Practical Magic? Are you kidding me? You need to fix this. Otherwise, I don't think we can be co-hosts anymore. Like, I think that was like maybe sometime last year though. But it was early on where we were very upset, and I was like, okay, I will do you right, and I will watch this movie. And you were right. Like, I would consider this now honestly a Coven classic in regards to, like, I probably will watch this one on a yearly basis or like fairly regular basis in the like upcoming years, because I really like the story. I love the atmosphere and like the vibe.
It's a fall movie.
Yeah, it's a perfect fall movie, and that house, I want it.
It made me feel like witchcraft was real when I was a kid, and I've always loved ones that really tap into like the pagan roots, and that's what the arts were, where people from the town were coming to them for magic and spells and things like that. And like the best use of this kiss in any movie ever. Sandra Bullock in her cowboy boots, running down the street, leaps into that guy's arms. I love it.
Yes, I completely agree. All right, The Exorcist. This is an all-time classic film. I don't know if I would call it a Coven classic, though.
I agree. It's a witch perfect.
Okay. I was going to say possibly I'll get you my pretty because I wasn't sure if it's too scary. Because for me personally, I know it's like the cliche of like, this is the scariest movie of all time, but I am a firm believer that it is. I have yet to see a movie that really gets under my skin like this one. Not to plug my Letterboxd or anything, but please go read my review. It's my longest review on Letterboxd. I have like a full detailed essay on my opinions of this movie. Go check it out.
I think I'll Get You My Pretty is a great one because yes, it is one, as you sort of said, you know about it before seeing it. You've probably seen, well, if you've seen Scary Movie or Scary Movie 2, I think it is. Like,
Scary
Movie 2. That's my introduction to it. But even then, you know, like, your mother sucks cocks in hell, like, just lines like that really live on. So I think it is probably a little bit more hardcore than Witch Perfect. I think you're right. So we'll pop it in. I'll Get You My Pretty. But it is a film classic. If you haven't seen it, I think you at least need to give it a go, I would say. And that was my attitude for it. It's not a Kelli movie at all, but it's one you need to have seen.
Completely agree. All right. Give it to me.
I don't think I'm going to give it to you the way you want it, babe.
Okay. Insert the clip from Drag Race with Gia. I can't think of the quote right now.
Well, what you want to do is not necessarily what you got to do.
Exactly that.
Well, what you want to do is not necessarily what you're going to do.
I think it's more like Megan Thee Stallion. Okay. I have only seen it the once. I liked it. I thought perfectly fine. I want to watch it again to see if my opinion on it changes. These two leading ladies are stunning, stuntralina, but I was a little bit lacking. I don't know. I feel like I've been served that this is a camp classic, that this is a cult classic, that, you know, it's one of those ones where, what I'm watching isn't art, but it's enjoyable. And I didn't quite... it edged me ever so slightly. I walked away a little unsatisfied, so I need to go back and see if it can finish the job next time. That's where I'm at with it.
Kelly, this is gonna be weird, but literally the exact same experience. It's like I enjoyed it enough. I thought the story and like dynamics of kind of this like love triangle, if I'm remembering, it's like I don't really remember the full plot, which is maybe problematic, but I feel like it was a good time and it wasn't scary by any means. So I'd probably say I put a spell on you, and I am keen to rewatch it because I felt very similarly where like I enjoyed it, but I'm like, am I missing, like, because I do feel like it's kind of celebrated.
Am I missing something? Yes. Is it just me? And apparently it's not just us, but I'm keen to rewatch it. I think it's another good gateway sort of one. And I'm going to say very similar thoughts and feelings with Witches of Eastwick.
Yep.
Witches of Eastwick starts, and I'm like, this is for me. I feel it. I love these three leading ladies so much. And then you've got Jack Nicholson as the devil, and it starts them all the way in. And then for some reason, somewhere along the movie, it just loses me. And I tend to tune out, and I'm like, I'm just not as invested anymore. And then I come back to it at the end. So it's one that doesn't hold my attention the whole way through, but I would still put it in, I put a spell on you, because I think it's good, another good one for getting into the spooky season. It's a good witch movie. I think you still need to have seen it. There's still enough in it there that I can recommend it. But it's one that I keep watching, hoping I will like a little bit more each time, and I just don't.
Honestly, very, very similar as well. I've only seen it the one time. I enjoyed it a lot. I know this is a weird critique, but like, I don't like barfing in movies, and there was a lot of, and there was like a lot of barfing in this movie, and that just really like if it's like one time, whatever, but like it happened several times, at least for my memory, and like that just irked me and annoyed me, like in regards to like being a like in a comedic way. Like I don't think that's funny personally.
It's low hanging fruit, like it's low grade.
Yeah. Otherwise, like, yeah, I very much enjoyed it. I mean, these three leads are iconic, and so it's like I wanted maybe a little bit more of them versus like the Jack Nicholson of it all. Like that didn't really work for me, but very much the same. Like I'm keen to rewatch it because I only saw it the once, but like it's a good time. It's definitely more of like a horror spooky comedy. Like it's definitely more on the comedy spectrum, but definitely has like spooky elements to it for sure. So yeah, I agree. Let's put it in. I put a spell on you.
And very unintentionally, we're just going to go 3 for 3, I think. The Witches, based off the Roald Dahl novel, so very obviously meant to be more of a children's story, but I miss this era of children's movies that really wanted to fuck you up. Like,
Me too.
like I feel like that's why like we're a little bit more resilient, because we had these movies that were just like, hey, you want Gene Wilder in a boat being really creepy? Here it is. Hey, you want to see Angelica Houston rip her face off? Here it is. Like, I can't think of anything from Matilda that was too freaky, but there we go. Oh, the chocolate cake. Hey, you want to see this kid like have these horror wartime shots of him eating this chocolate cake? Here it is. The Witches wasn't ever the one for me. Personally, I don't know if I've actually seen this movie the whole way through. I've read the book a few times, but I'm much more on the Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory edge of the spectrum, even like the Eastiotrots and Giraffe the Pelly Me. Like, I like the light Roald Dahls, but I do appreciate that there's this time and place for it. I think the opening is very strong. The Grand High Witch Council and how do you spot a witch and the descriptions, I think the writing, and it translates to what I remember. I've seen this scene a lot is what I remember. I could not tell you about the rest of the movie. Melissa, is this one that was on repeat for you or anything?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I was a kid in the 90s, and this was one of those movies that, like, really was trying to scare the shit out of you. And it did. But I loved it. Like, again, this is when I knew I was a spooky kid, because I was just like, let's watch The Witches again. And, you know, people would be like, no. Like, I'd be like, yes, let's watch it again.
Too bad, rewind.
So, yeah, I love this movie. I haven't seen it in such a long time. I would be really keen to rewatch it. But yeah, Angelica Houston, like she's she's always just so great in everything I've ever seen her in. And yeah, when I think of her, this is honestly the thing I think of, probably because it was my introduction to her. So yeah, this was definitely on repeat for me. I love it. I kind of feel like, I don't know, this might be, I'm in between I Put a Spell on You or Witch Perfect, because like technically, yeah, it's a kids movie, but it's like, it's scary. So I'm like, maybe I think it might be a little too scary for like most people, but again, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know if it's like a fair assessment for me to say that.
I'm happy. This is your movie. You take it. I'm happy for you to slot it in wherever you would like.
Sorry to keep putting the witch movies in this category, but I'm gonna put it in Witch
It's meant to be. It's meant to be. Now, did you see the Anne Hathaway version?
I have not.
I have not either.
I've been too scared, I'll be completely honest. Maybe I will try it at one point just to like see, but I don't have a whole lot of interest for it, just because like this movie, like, I think is great with what it is. So I don't know. Maybe one day.
That's what she said. I said what I said.
Okay, out of everything on this list tonight, this is absolutely We Are the Weirdos. This is not a Kelli movie in the slightest, but I just have to say a few things about it because
What are we talking about, babe?
I'm sorry, Possession 1981.
Oh, this is not a Kelli movie. Alan said, are you watching that? Like, I showed him the list. He's like, are you going to watch that? I'm like, no. And he's like, do not watch that. That is not for you. Not for you, Kelli.
Absolutely not. I am obsessed with this movie. I was blown away the first time I saw it. Like, I think this is like an incredible art house classic horror staple. Like, I can't sing its praises enough. Like, I love this movie. Isabella Anjani as this lead in this movie. Kelli, if we ever do like a like favorite or top performances of all time of like any actress, like, she's on my list, and she might even be number one. I think this performance, yeah, it's, if not the best, one of the best performances I've ever seen ever. Now, it's interesting because it's divisive. Like, some people either think it's like too campy, extra, like, bad.
Okay.
Or there's people in my camp as well. I hope if you're out there and you try it, you end up being in my camp, but I get it. I just find her performance so raw. Like, I think she goes beyond what I've ever seen an actress do, where like she just completely, like, this scene, this picture,
that looks intense.
She loses her goddamn mind, and it's incredible to watch. Like, if you don't see the movie, if you want to at least just watch this scene, that's gonna give you a little taste, and it's like, wow. But yeah, just the way she stares into the camera, just so unhinged.
Yeah.
But anyways, I can go on and on about this movie because I am obsessed with it. But this is absolutely We Are the Weirdos. Okay.
I'm happy for you. That's my addition to it. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Thank you, Kelli, for the support.
You're welcome. This is so high on my list. You know how those movies where you're just mad at yourself? Like, why have I not watched this yet? Because I know I'm going to like it and I hear so much about it. And it just is one of those staples of film history. We're talking Diabolique. You have seen this plot being taken, like, being reused, and I'm pretty sure, do they mention it in A Simple Plan? Is that the Blake Lively and a Kendrick? I'm pretty sure that is heavily inspired by that.
I haven't seen it, but
I think you would like that one.
Okay.
I would say that would be a Melissa movie. But Diabolique, again, I don't want to spoiler it if you don't know anything about it, but you will start watching it and I think you will know the beats. I need to see it. Melissa, have you seen it?
I have, and I absolutely adore it. Yeah, I saw it a few years ago on the Criterion channel, and it blew me away. Yeah. I think even if you think you know what's gonna happen, I don't know, the way that the twist
you think you know, but you don't know.
I don't know, maybe I was naive, I'm not sure, but like the twists and turns that it took, especially that final act, like, it got me. It really got me. Yeah, I think the atmosphere and the story, the way it's crafted, is just so well done. And yeah, it's very like seeping in mystery. You just don't really know like what's gonna happen. I feel like with how things are going, and the performances by all the actors in this movie are just top notch. It's like I don't want to say too much more because I agree. Like
exactly,
go into this one as blind as possible. But yeah, this is a classic for a reason, and it's incredible. In regards to what category,
this is a tricky one.
Yeah, because like a part of me is like this could be a Coven classic, but like because I could see this being a little bit more elevated for this time of year. But I would say maybe Witch Perfect.
That's where I'm leaning. Okay,
right.
We have saved one of the best to last, in my opinion. I Dreamt of Mandalay Again is just one of my all-time favorite opening lines. We're going to talk about Rebecca and the 1940s Hitchcock version, which is probably still my favorite Hitchcock movie. I'd edge it out over Rear Window just slightly for myself. The performances from Joan Fontaine and Laurence Olivier, and oh my goodness, I'm forgetting, but the maid character, she just brings it home. That's what's so great about Hitchcock films, are these little side characters that are so impactful, that really are scene stealers and cause the horror to our main character, to our lead. As an adult woman now, it's even more scary, because you go into any new relationship with a baggage, with can you live up to whoever the previous person was that you were with. If you have dated someone who has had serious relationships in the past, not if you're high school sweethearts, you're going to miss that. You're going to miss all that. But I have definitely felt that of not being able to live, feeling still the ghost of previous women. And so this is based off the Daphne du Maurier book, which I own and need to read. I know that this is a classic of the genre and is that sort of typical ghost story. But this is another one, like we just said about Diabolique, with the twists and turns. I think this keeps you on the edge just enough of really what's going on here and what is happening in this house. I'm a sucker for a haunted house, and especially like this is a mansion. Like, I love anything in that Regency Old English period, and it very much gives me that. So I enjoy this one a lot.
I echo essentially all of that. Yeah, I think all the performances are incredible. It gives me very similar vibes of the cinematography as like The Innocents. I think
The Innocents? Yes.
The black and white cinematography in this is just, oh, it's gorgeous. Like, yeah, that opening of like going to the house, I just think it's so well done, and I think it just really opens up the story. It almost feels like I'm opening up a storybook kind of vibe to it. But yeah, Judith Anderson is
Thank you.
Yeah, she is just incredible. But yeah, just all the performances are fantastic. This is just such a classic. I'm keen to rewatch it because I've only seen it, I believe, once or twice, but it is just one that stays with me. I think it's just so well done. Yeah, in regards to what category, I kind of feel like maybe a Coven classic since we love it so much. What do you think?
I'm leaning between Coven classic or I Put a Spell on You. I know it could be Witch Perfect because I do think it's an amazing film and deserves all the accolades it's got, but I do think it's a good little hey, you want something a bit lighter, a bit of a palate cleanser for the season, or you just want to dip your toes into something Hitchcock. I think it's a good intro. A Coven classic, I don't know, because I don't think I've ever watched it at Halloween. I think I Put a Spell on You. I think it's good game. I think it's good intro.
Yeah, because I would say if you haven't ever seen a Hitchcock movie, I mean, definitely just start out with one of his best and watch this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's our list. If you needed 31 movies to watch this coming October, why don't you check out one of these ones? Like, here you go, set it up the way you want. Make your own film festival out of that. Melissa, if you had to pick one and you say to people, you can't go this Halloween season without watching this, give it to them.
I mean, maybe it's the basic choice, but I mean, it's Hocus Pocus. In regards to what I would probably tell most people that I'm watching, it's gonna be Hocus Pocus. But I think if I'm actually recommending a movie that maybe they haven't seen before, that I think would benefit their October watching, I'd probably say The Innocents. What about you?
Beautiful. I know I'm going to be watching Elvira this Halloween season, so if you're like myself and you've just missed all that, I would jump in. I think it's one that looks shit but is amazing.
No.
And I love when... No, but you know what I mean? Like, it looks lower grade. Like, are you really going to get enjoyment out of that? And I just loved it. Actually, I'm looking at this, and I would say, like, if you missed Ready or Not, throw that in your viewing. I think that's got a good chance of a wide range, hitting a wide range of audiences and enjoying that one. If that was one that you missed, seek that one out, and it'd be easily accessible because I'm sure it'd be streaming somewhere.
I can put this list in the comments, so if you want to make your own version of our choices, feel free to do that. I'll create a list on Letterboxd as well of all of our choices from today. Definitely check us out on Letterboxd. We're at Film Coven is our username on Letterboxd, so check us out there. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed our recommendations for this spooky season, and until next time, everyone, stay magical.